17 in front of the hour. Sirius Speedway. Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90, headed to the hotline to talk now to the driver of the number 35, Wolfpack Rentals Chevrolet on the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. James Buescher is with us. Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Good. How was your off weekend?
It was pretty good. Nice and relaxing.
Really? You were you just took it off and completely relaxed then?
Took it off. I stayed home all weekend, and I actually just came into Charlotte in the Mooresville area now about an hour and a half ago. So I didn't travel for a whole week. I couldn't believe it. But
no travel, no honey-do list, nothing?
Definitely a honey-do list. But there's always stuff to do around the house. So it was nice to be able to catch up and get a lot of things done.
Well, I mean, is it hard that you have to go back to work now and actually, go to a racetrack and run a race with all these weeks off?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I'm excited. I got 2 races this weekend. Get to run the truck race and the nationwide race as well. So double duty. I'm really looking forward to getting back to the racetrack, especially after an off weekend. It's nice to be able to say I'm doing double duty and got a busy weekend ahead of me.
It seems like when you have an off weekend in the trucks, more often than not this year, you've been in a nationwide car or you've been in an ARCA car. Another double-duty weekend coming up here at Dover. It seems, just as somebody on the outside looking in, James, that maybe Mr. Turner's trying to get you all the experience and all the seat time crammed into one season that he possibly can because, I don't know, maybe he's got ideas that you're going to be a pretty good driver and move up this ladder one of these days real soon, huh?
Well, any race car driver will tell you that seat time's important, and I think seat time every weekend is more important than running 3 races in one weekend and then taking 2 weeks off. I think you get a lot more out of it. You learn a lot more and keep yourself more fresh if you run one race every single weekend rather than running 3 races in one weekend and then having 2 weeks off. And that was kind of the way we looked at it when we put together my nationwide schedule for this year. We tried to plan as many of them as we could into the truck off weekends and also having to work around, the other drivers that are in the 30 car, their schedules as well. So that's why some of my races are double duty, but it worked out pretty nice that a lot of them ended up in my off weekends just from the seat time standpoint. But, I'm really excited for the opportunity that I have to run the nationwide car as many times as I am this year. And, hoping to start getting some better finishes in it. Is it
difficult to juggle both a truck and a nationwide car at a place like Dover? I mean, obviously it's a pretty intense joint. You want to put a lot of thought and a lot of work into getting both of them to handle as well as possible because Dover's a rough place if you've got an ill-handling car or truck underneath you.
It is a rough place if you're not handling good. The good thing is about the schedule is we do all of our truck practice tomorrow, and then we don't even practice the nationwide car till Friday. So by the time we start practicing the nationwide car, the truck setup is pretty much locked in for the race. You're not going to be making any more changes. You'll already be done qualifying, and then you can go focus on the nationwide car and getting it to handle right, and then go into the truck race. But we've got a new paint scheme on our truck this weekend, Space Coast Center for Mothers and Children, and I'm really excited to be supporting a nonprofit organization. They're based out of Melbourne, Florida, actually where I was born. So. Pretty excited to go to Dover. Last time we ran there, we finished second, so hopefully we'll get another good showing for them.
How similar at the end of it all will be the setups between what you end up with the truck before qualifying and what you end up with the nationwide car? Is there any translation at all?
There's definitely translation. I think more so with the new nationwide car than the old one because you do have the splitter and you do have your travel heights are a lot more critical than with the old nationwide car. But at the same time, we're going to the racetrack with different setups. In my truck, we're on the first practice on a left front coil line setup, and in the nationwide car, we're going to unload with a right front coil line setup. So kind of taking 2 different approaches to it. And, I would guess by the end of all the practice that both cars will be kind of similar, as similar as they can be being as one's a truck and one's a car.
Right.
But we're starting a lot different in the truck, and what's good about the truck practices is we have a break in between our practices where if we don't feel like we're in the right direction, we have more time to stop and completely change the setup, and we can switch to a right front coil bind setup if we feel like we need to.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that all ends up in the end. In terms of strategy, probably two different worlds, huh? Because you're racing for a championship in one, and you're decidedly not in the other. A good deal more aggression maybe in your nationwide approach than in the truck?
Well, in the truck, I mean, yeah, we're racing for points. Right now we're way back 16th in points, so there's not a whole lot to lose. So I think you go with the aggression approach on both sides of the fence. You know, obviously racing for points in the truck, it's a lot more important to finish the race, but, you know, you want to finish the race in both, and you want to finish as well as possible. So I wouldn't say that we'll be approaching them. I won't be approaching them much different. You know, my goal is to go and win the race. But from the pit strategy standpoint, they're a lot different. For the biggest reason is the length of the races changes the pit strategy pretty tremendously.
Is it liberating? I mean, I know the idea is not to be 16th in points. That's not at all what you set out to do. But is it liberating in a way to be able to just kind of throw the bridle off and say, hey, man, we just got to go for it?
Well, I mean, we've had a pretty up and down year in the trucks. I mean, we've talked about it on the show that, you know, we've ran really well, and then we've ran really bad. So, right. And we haven't ran really well 2 races in a row. So hopefully we can break that streak. We finished 5th at the last race, so hopefully we'll go to Dover and go get another top 5 and be running for the win. But, you know, we've got to turn that program around where we can get good, solid finishes week in, week out, and not go to the racetrack and say, oh, are we going to get a good, solid finish? So I think it all starts with being able to unload fast, and it's something we've really been struggling with this year. We've had to, you know, with the exception of Daytona and Darlington, we've really had to work on our truck and pretty much take it a 180 from where we unload off the truck, and that's something to be able to unload at the racetrack fast and just fine tune instead of making big moves at it in practice.
You know, you mentioned that your schedule so far has by and large been good race, bad race, good race, bad race, just alternating. Is there a reason for that? I mean, is there something that you guys are doing that causes that, or is it just kind of the way the cookies crumbled this year? I
think it's just the way the cookies crumbling. You know, I really don't know what the reason is for it. You know, Phoenix, we were really slow, really bad, but Darlington, we were fast and we ran really good. We were, you know, the top 3 trucks in practice, and we finished 5th in the race. And then we go to Martinsville, and we were probably the best we've ever been as a team at Martinsville, and it looked like we had a top 10 run going and had a parts failure. So I think a lot of it's just luck, and you know, hopefully we can turn that around. And I know we've got some of the best equipment in the garage area and a really good team behind me, and you know, a lot of good guys on this team that have the drive to run up front, and everybody wants to win. So that's what we're there for. We're not there to just, you know, show up and hopefully get a top 10. We're there to try to get to victory lane. So hopefully we can, you know, make another run at it here this weekend. And these are some really good races that I got coming up. Some of my favorite racetracks at Dover, Charlotte, and Iowa, all in 2 weeks. So I'm really excited about these next couple weeks.
Dover seems to be the kind of track that everybody we talk to either really, really loves it or really, really hates it. It's not in the middle for anybody. It's either top 3 on the circuit or bottom 3 on the circuit. It's kind of like riding a roller coaster, and I guess either you like it or you don't, right?
It's pretty tough. It's a really high-speed racetrack for being a 1-mile racetrack, and you have to be handling good. If you can't get in the corner stable, the rest of the corners thrown away. You have to slow down way too much to save your car or truck, and you know, you have to get your truck handling good in practice, and it can be a lot of fun, but at the same time I could see where it could be a pretty miserable day. I actually spun in the race last year, so I mean, it didn't start out all great and you know, glorified. We had to work for it, but we ended up with a good solid finish. So you know, maybe we won't have to work so hard for a solid finish this year, and maybe we can improve on it.
Well, we look forward to it. We'll be watching this weekend for sure. Always fun to go back to the Monster Mile and watch you guys in the Truck Series work. Appreciate the time as always. We'll do it again next week, my friend. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
James Buescher, Exide, Wolfpack Rentals, Chevrolet with a little different color scheme and a little non-profit effort on the side of that truck this weekend on the Monster Mile at Dover.